The show will begin in 5 minutes.
Level 7, turn left. Then turn right. The doors are closed. Do not even try. Do you hear voices in this empty hall? Do you know sounds of this afternoon? The neighbors are eating dinner. The neighbors are watching TV. The neighbors behind the walls.
The show will begin in 4 minutes. The show will begin in 3 minutes. The show will begin in 2 minutes. The show will begin in 1 minute. And now, our feature presentation.
Hey everyone, it's Henry. Welcome to my planned 3-hour live stream while I wait for Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders to go live. Because yes, I am a man who is excited for, quote, a Nintendo, as one of the comments on what is now my highest performing video of all time. If you're here watching this and you subscribe from that, I just want to say thank you for giving me the greatest video performance I think I've ever had in my 16 years of YouTube attempts. I've realized that maybe getting on more hot button topics is worth getting into. Now, I'm not gonna be like the reactionary or zealot for any particular side of anything. Like how I always say, I may not want to have children, but that doesn't mean I want to be associated with the child-free movement. Mostly because a lot of what they say about parents and families is just utterly disgusting. Not great. I don't want to be associated with that. But anyway, how are you doing today? Are you looking to get a Switch 2 as well? I have 4 different stores bookmarked, ready to go, and I am going to stay up as late as it takes, because I stayed up late every single night this week just to rehearse, if you will. Let's see if I can pull up the records on my watch. No, it only says for last night I was up until sometime after 12:57 a.m. to 8:12 a.m. is how long I slept last night. I decided to get some other things taken care of before I went to bed after I got back from seeing The Martian at the Museum of Science, which was a great experience in the Mugar Omni Theater. Not perfect because the bottom corners of the frame were cut off. It's just a reality of the setup of the projector onto the dome. But hey, it was still a great experience. Now, I wouldn't recommend going to see a movie there for the first time, just because that's not going to, because of that cut off of the frame. But I digress. Anyway, getting back to the highest performing video I think I've ever made. Why no one in America wants to work manufacturing jobs. Look at that. 98 comments compared to anywhere from nothing, just the one, or the 11. No new ones since I did that, but I want to go through some of the comments and I guess elaborate on some of the. Oh, so first off, you know what? I think I'm just going to go ahead and delete this one from our friend from Sunday's live stream. Wow, the number of comments on this has come along so much. They've multiplied exponentially since Sunday. So you know what? Farouk, I'm flattered, but my buddy ChatGPT has me covered. Really for suggestions and such. My sister roasted me. Oh, hey, GCraft1010. Are you looking forward to getting a Nintendo Switch as well? I know that I'm looking forward to pre-ordering mine. I'm not gonna I'm not going to open the pages for the different stores just yet. Oops, you're not supposed to see that. Alright, getting back to this, let's go over some of the comments I got. So, Pinoid News 123 had a problem with the fact that they test for 420, as we'll call it here. No, I'm not planning to get any accessories at this moment. I'm just gonna get the Mario Kart bundle. All right. Hey, are you waiting up to get a Switch 2 as well? I know. Oh yeah. It's like I said in previous live streams and videos, I'm not letting the negativity get to me. I get it, YouTube. The prices are high, but it's a price I'm willing to pay because I get access to the Nintendo games. And Nintendo still makes quality games. Unlike the restaurant from Monday night that shall remain nameless, I have not seen too much of a downgrade in quality from Nintendo. Yeah, they haven't been as imaginative with their UIs and menu design across the board. They kind of got lazy with the themes, but I don't care about themes for a UI. Honestly, I'm okay with the simplistic design if it means they're focusing on the actual experience of the games. Anyway, so Pinoid News had a problem with 420 testing because it sidelines millions of workers, then gets into overtime taxes, and then this guy here explained that insurance companies won't cover you if the workforce tests positive for 420. And I brought up that Tim Pool was right about how insurance companies really do run the world. Seriously, think about it. Everything that a business does or doesn't do comes down to insurance. What will their insurance cover if they mess up? What will insurance cover if... What will insurance not cover? What will raise their rates? So, for example, a business that sells alcohol, they have to follow very strict protocols to make sure they don't accidentally sell to someone underage. Not just because of irregular stings from the local police department in the hopes of, I wouldn't say in the hopes of, more about just to make sure that they're doing their job. What was I going to say? Uh, yeah, it definitely is not in the hopes of anything. They just want to make sure they're doing their job, hold them accountable, and if they fail, well, they're not exactly going to be allowed to sell liquor anymore. But the insurance companies also will not insure them if they happen to have anything happen or if they're not taking the right steps. Obviously, they're supposed to pay out if something happens, if it was beyond their control. So basically, yeah, that's the idea. Insurance companies dictate all. That's why TikTok wasn't allowed back on the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store initially. It's because their insurance companies were all like, the word of the president is not enough to mitigate the risk. And the future president can penalize you later anyway, so what's the point? Let me just take a quick look for the... Yeah, I'm looking at the Mac App Store right now. CapCut's back. For those of you who don't know, it's owned by, what's it called? ByteDance, the company that owns TikTok, and it was affected by the TikTok ban. That's what it's called, but really it's a blanket ban on national security risks, which anything owned by ByteDance happens to fall under the definition of, according to that law. Well, anyway, after all the 420 arguments, I thought that maybe they should just test for alcohol as well, so for the sake of consistency. You know, because I'm a strong believer in consistency. I believe that if they're going to test for something like that, they should just test for everything, you know? If the insurance companies can demand testing for 420, why not just ask for them to test for alcohol in the system, you know? Consistency. Well, there's a whole back and forth where, oh, hey, there's one I just noticed here for the first time. Department of Transportation did some tests years ago of methods to evade drug testing. They found that one effective method was to drink a gallon of water. Cannabis levels dropped to undetectable levels and stayed there. I always felt that 420 should have been allowed a long time ago. However, I do think that truck drivers and others who can be putting people's lives in danger should be strictly tested for it, for anything that can affect their abilities, even if it affects their ability during the next day or two. If they get caught, there's no reason to defend losing their license. I don't mind beating the test if you're applying for a job in a financial institution. Yeah, that's another thing I want to talk more about with all of this. The way that blue collar work is demeaned by media and such, while white collar work is put on a pedestal and made to seem like the standard. Like, this is what everyone should go for, when not everyone might be suited to it. Not everyone might want to do that. I mean, think about it. Do you really, should we really be forcing people into either or? Ah, what do I know? Anyway, what I got, the comments that I didn't like, but I allowed to keep for the sake of doing as Arnold, as Arnold would do. No, as Arnold would do. He left a comment, and from his Special Olympics post up on the page as a reminder of that. Here, I'll show you. Oh, I got a notification on Reddit. All right. The comment he reads: As stupid and evil as this comment is, I'm not going to delete it or ban you yet, because it's a teachable moment. You have two possible paths ahead. Right now, I guarantee that these athletes have more courage, compassion, brains, skill, actually more of every positive human quality than you. So take the path. You could learn from them and try to challenge yourself, to give back, to add something from the world. Or you can stay on your path and keep being a sad, pitiful, jealous internet troll who adds nothing to the world but mocks anyone who does out of small-minded jealousy. I know what you really want is attention, so let me be clear. If you choose to keep going this way, no one will ever remember you. And you'll see that they blocked out the username and such. And I'm not going to read that out loud. You can read it up here on the screen, but I'm not reading that out loud because of the derogatory language. Don't need YouTube picking that up. Well, they're probably picking it up with the visual detection. But hey, YouTube, I just want to point out I threw that up there to show context, and I wanted to show how Arnold dealt with the hater. So in my case, let's see, where is no. Uh-uh. Wait, did he delete the comment of his own accord? Oh, here we go. He said if they were forced to feed themselves as opposed to being supported by the government, they would want those jobs. Yeah, I made it clear in here that I'm not against government assistance existing, which I want to make clear because I believe in some form of a safety net. No, but there was a harsher one made by a similar. Come on, I know it was in here somewhere. A lot of useless jobs. Yes. Not as secure. Trade skills. Fun fact. Now, here's one I really liked. Employers, broadly speaking, need to get over themselves and train people instead of demanding prior experience and licenses right out the gate. This is particularly true when it comes to skilled labor. You can have experienced people on site as leaders. Companies want the talent to fall out of the sky at no additional cost. Oh, here's the one that's related to tonight's stream. Yes, I do, you liar, in response to the title and thumbnail. No surprise a grown man who somehow wants a Nintendo doesn't want to work. To which I replied, I said I wouldn't be against working a factory job, or at least giving it an honest attempt. And I really would, you know? Now, I wouldn't be able to put out as many videos unless I recorded an entire week's worth on Saturday and then edit a week's worth on Sunday. Oh, here we go. I found it. This one says, end assistance, make it so people earn their way or starve. To which I replied, gonna have to disagree with you there because I still believe in a safety net. Then he called me the problem. I mean, I get it. The I get that we can't have. I'm trying to find a way to phrase this politely, but let me just reiterate. I still believe in a safety net because people need to be able to get back up. For those of you who have seen Batman the Animated Series or The Batman the Animated Series as well, not the Robert Pattinson version, you might recall that Dick Grayson's parents were ended because they performed without a safety net and someone sabotaged it and Dick Grayson became an orphan right there in the circus tent, just like Bruce Wayne did. Yeah, the amazing flying Graysons fell to their end. They had no. If they had a safety net, Dick Grayson would still have his parents, and he'd still be alive and what? Nah, he wouldn't be Robin. He wouldn't have gone on to become Nightwing. So that's why I am not against there being a safety net, but I can understand wanting to get people off of it as quick as possible. Like I'm okay with having a timeline, having a plan to get a new job as quick as possible and get back on track. Especially if you've been working a job for a while, you paid taxes into the system, and then you lose your job. You should have some kind of safety net if you've been paying taxes. Sure, you should still have a emergency fund of some kind. That's still a good idea, but it's also not a bad idea to have unemployment be available. The problem is the duration of the problem is the duration. I remember my 8th grade science teacher once said you can only be on welfare for a finite amount of time, which I don't know if that's still technically true or not, but I know for a fact that needs to be an era, not a permanent solution. That I'm willing to concede, but there should still be a safety net to catch people who fall on hard times so that they can get back up and then get back to work. Little recovery time if possible. But again, you can't just end assistance. I wouldn't want all assistance to end anyway. You know what? I think I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna tell whoever commented that. How about I prefer focusing on solutions rather than problems. I'd say a government connector service like the health connectors in some states. For jobs, like the health connector in some states. Would be a good solution to get people back in the workforce quickly, especially if they filter for scammers better than the privatized job boards. All right, let's run this through Apple Intelligence proofread, and then we'll approve it for post. Yeah, I'm very meticulous about my... Oh, wait. Stop the thing. I'm very meticulous about my comments. I like to make sure that there's no spelling errors or anything like that. All right, let's read it back. I prefer focusing on solutions rather than problems. I'd say a government connector service for jobs, like the health connectors in some states, would be a good solution to get people back in the workforce quickly, especially if they filter for scammers better than the privatized job boards. Yeah, short, snappy, to the point, and I'm pitching a solution rather than bitching about the problem. Hey, that rhymes. Don't bitch about the problem. Pitch a solution. Come on, you have to admit that's a good one. I literally could have just solved the unemployment issue right there. Well, really, it's more about the workforce participation percentage. Anyway, I still cannot believe that that video is doing as well as it's done up to this point. No, I don't want that one. I mean, I'm amazed that the video has done this well up to this point. Like, it's nearly tripled my second highest viewed video. Clearly, I gotta focus on more hot button cultural issues like this. Perhaps titling this "Stay Up Till Midnight to Me with Me While I Wait for a Switch to..." I think I'm gonna add a little something to boost its searchability. How does talking... I just need to come up with a topic. I can't think of a good way to phrase it for a topic. Honestly, to help fill the time, I actually have something that's going to be a little depressing to read through, but it was an article that I gave up trying to make a video on because I was nearing the 1 hour mark on that when I was recording it. And let's just say it made me very angry. So why not just do it live, and you can see my live reaction as we go, and maybe you'll get angry with me. Maybe some live reactions where ends to remind me that the invention of the car was not a mistake will probably help. I am talking about this article I found on Apple News Plus called License to Kill. And no, it is not a reference to a James Bond movie or anything. James Bond had nothing to do with this. Even though that's just the same movie over and over again. Somehow they got away with making the same movie 25 times. Yeah, that's how many Bond movies there are. This one was all about how the California DMV routinely let dangerous drivers back on the road. And let's just say they were repeat offenders. For those of you who don't know, I once fainted watching this video in a health class. It was called Sudden Impact. It has no association with the Dirty Harry movie, but it was all about the way that this one girl's life was destroyed by a drunk driver who collided with the car she was in. I don't remember too much more. I think it also followed the prosecution of the driver and his incarceration. I think. I don't remember that much. I just know that I saw how ruined that girl's life was by that drunk driver. I was so angry that I passed out in class. Yeah, one moment I was watching it, the next thing, everything felt all distant and fuzzy. And then after that, I woke up on the floor. My gym teacher guided me to the next room over, brought the school nurse in, and they walked me back up the stairs to the nurse's office, where I got to go home 10 minutes early. I mean, I shouldn't complain too much about that. Yeah, I've still been trying to figure out after 12 years what happened. At this point, I'm inclined to think that I was just so upset by the content of the video we were watching that I don't know, I guess my body shut down or I couldn't take it anymore. I got so angry that it caused a physical reaction within me. I mean, I wasn't gonna just shout at the screen about how abhorrent the whole situation was. See, I am pretty well restrained as a person. You could say I'm a high inhibition male, like Loser Maxing would say. Yeah, I was never the kind of person to cause disruption in the classroom willfully. Obviously, fainting while watching something would count as a disruption, but it's not really like I chose to faint. I mean, someone did accuse me of just falling over on falling over on purpose or something like that to draw attention. But that was like teenage banter or something like that. It was just crap talking me. Quite frankly, I it's why I don't believe in drinking or drugs or any sort of mental impairment. Honestly, my rule of thumb is if a substance makes you unable to operate heavy machinery, stay away from it. Don't consume it. See, I don't care what else it does to the body. Alcohol, yeah, you've got liver damage is a thing. I'm pretty sure, I remember from Abnormal Psychology that 420 causes the munchies. So I guess it just burns a lot of energy and then it makes you really hungry after the fact. And then drugs, if you've seen Breaking Bad, you know that the stuff that Walter White cooked, yeah, it's known for causing you to grind your teeth really hard. Honestly, most of that I don't worry about as much compared to the fact that it impairs your brain's ability to think clearly. Like I pointed out in the follow up to the video about why I think it should be more difficult to get a driver's license. In my follow up to that, I emphasize the safety tip against about staying sober, even if you're just walking, which I can 100% get behind. Oh, I just realized I need to log the score for the new episode of The Studio that I just watched. Honestly, I am kind of close to shutting down my movie and TV reviews again just because I got tired. Just because I don't want to have to worry about finding. I don't want to have to worry about having to scrounge up watching something for the sake of content. But I digress. Anyway, how about we read the article, or as far as we can get before I get too angry? Because, like I said, this in particular just makes my makes me so frustrated. One, it makes me think that it reiterates how I think Walt Disney was completely right about having Epcot move car traffic completely underground away from people. You know, cars and pedestrians cannot coexist. You know what? I think I know what I'm gonna call the topic for the stream. Stay up till midnight with me. Crap talking. Crap talking driving while I wait for Switch 2 pre-orders to go live. Yeah, like I said, I needed reminders from the chat that the invention of the automobile was not a mistake. As much as I sometimes wonder, at the very least, I would argue that building our infrastructure around needing a car and then forcing anyone who isn't blind or has epilepsy or any of the other conditions that bar you from the legal privilege of driving, which that's what it is. It's not a right. Although this article does bring out how it's pretty much treated like a right. So, for example, there's the Second Amendment right. You have until you commit a felony. You can't possess. You basically lose the right to keep and bear arms, as it says in the amendment. Even though later on it's followed up by shall not be infringed. But right now, the government can infringe that right if you get convicted of a felony, which I don't think is a bad idea. I mean, proof beyond reasonable doubt and all that. I mean, the 13th Amendment even has a exception to the ending of slavery, where if you're incarcerated, they can have you do labor. Let's actually read the exact words of the 13th Amendment. 13th Amendment to the Constitution. Oops. Alright, here we go. Straight from archives.gov. Amendment 13, Section 1. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States, or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Section 2. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Passed on January 31st, 1865. Ratified December 6th, 1865. So I want you to take a look at that, what I've highlighted. Except as punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. So you can lose your right to not be forced into involuntary servitude by way of just once you're duly convicted, of course. Some people, some areas treat driving as such because of how necessary it is to have a job. I mean, legally, an employer shouldn't be able to discriminate against you if you happen to not own a car or drive. But they might be a little less inclined to hire you if you admit that you don't have your own car. I mean, the way I see it, delays in bus or train schedules and traffic jams are interchangeable as far as I'm convinced. All right, let's finally get to reading this article. So this will be my second attempt. Based on my first attempt, I know this will definitely help fill the time. License to Kill by Robert Lewis, published April 14th, 2025 from Cal Matters. The California DMV routinely allows dangerous drivers with horrifying histories to continue to operate on our roadways. Too often, they go on to kill. Many keep driving even after they kill. Some go on to kill again. Oh boy, this is. I can't even. Court research by Robert Lewis, Lauren Hepler, Annette Rubin, Sergio Olmos, Kayla Mihalovic, Eze Olamhens, Co Bragg, Andrew Donahue, and Jenna Peterson. And I know you're going to be able to see the names up on the articles, but for those of you who you're listening, I'm not going to bother saying the names of the reckless drivers, is what we'll call them, because I don't want to give these people infamy. Just like with the perpetrators of what's the best way to put this for YouTube? Just like the perpetrators of mass tragedies, who I did research on, who there is an elevated risk of repeat occurrences of these events if their names are prominently featured in the news coverage. I did research on that. I got nightmares as a result. But I did get 2 A's, one in each class that I did this kind of research for. But anyway, I'm just going to replace all the names with reckless driver. The only names I'm going to use are those of the victims and the victims' families and any elected officials who, let's just say, I'm not going to have a lot of confidence in, but I don't live in California, so I couldn't have voted for them even if I wanted to. Reckless driver was convicted of reckless driving in 2013 after fleeing police in Washington state while his passenger allegedly dumped heroin out the window. Before that, he got 6 DUIs in California over a 6-year period. None of that would keep him off the road. California DMV reissued him a driver's license in 2017. The next year on Christmas Eve, he drove drunk again, running stop signs and a traffic light in Midtown Sacramento, going more than 80 miles per hour, court records show. He T-boned another car, killing a 28-year-old man who was going home to feed the cat before heading to his mom's for the holiday. I can't even imagine how awful that would be for the mother to open the door expecting her son to be there, and then instead being the state trooper, whatever law enforcement officer was sent there to tell that woman that on Christmas Eve that her son would never make it because he was hit by a reckless driver. Another reckless driver had 17 tickets, including for speeding, reckless driving, and street racing, and 4 collisions. Then, November 2022, he gunned his Ram 2500 truck as he entered a Placer County highway and slammed into the back of a disabled sedan, killing a. I can't even. I don't even want to have to say that out loud because of how depressing it is. See, this is the trouble I was having trying to record a video for this because it just gets so depressing the moment I get into something. Yeah, let's try to continue. December of last year, while that case was open, the DMV renewed reckless driver's license, which, by the way, was while he was facing felony manslaughter charges. Sorry, I'm a little upset right now, but I'm gonna keep going as best I can. Actually, honestly, no. I I'm not gonna subject myself to this because if I keep reading this, I'm never gonna want to leave the house again. Here's the title. Here's the author. There's where you can find it. If you have Apple News Plus, you can get it. If you have Apple News Plus, it's available as part of that. If you don't, if it's behind a different paywall or something, or if you can somehow find it for free, you know where to look for it. I am not reading that again. It's just too depressing. The TLDR of it is this isn't. The TLDR of the article is reckless drivers get their driver's licenses back way too easily, which just reinforces my point that driver's licenses should be as difficult to acquire as a pilot's license. Because you know why? Car accident, airplane crashes don't happen as much as car ones. Commercial pilots are obligated to complete way more training than your average driver. You know what? I'll be right back. I have to go check on my laundry. Sorry, I just got a. Alright, enjoy this playthrough of Dragon's Lair while I go check on the laundry and grab something to drink.
Save me! Save me! Save me!
Just like Dirk, I'm back. All right, what else do I want to talk about today? Oh, hey, would you look at that? H4DJ-Q4E responded to my response. You know what? It's clear I'm not going to win this argument or change its mind. Because as you saw in the comment, he's under the impression that paid not to work. No. It is a safety net to keep them going until they get back to work. A safety net is always a good idea. I'm not just saying that to be politically correct. I actually mean it. I would much rather there be a general safety net for anyone who has paid into the system rather than letting there be because again, people paid into the system, people should get something back from the system. Now, I agree that it's not a permanent solution. Now, I agree that something like that shouldn't be a permanent solution. You can't do that forever, but there needs to be a holdover. Honestly, government job connector. That's what we need. You get the best of both worlds. You give some assistance while someone applies for and interviews for a job, and then they either get hired or they move on to the next one. As long as you're in that system and you're getting at least an interview a week or something like that, I think that's what I would do. You know what? Maybe we should take this to ChatGPT, have it design this for us, like refine the idea. Nah, let's actually just read and react, watch and react to some YouTube. Trying to decide what I'd like to share with you. Oh, hey, how about... No, I should not do that, because I don't think Disney is going to be as lenient with copyright as, what was it? As the people behind the George Carlin stand-up bit and the American Beauty clip. I was gonna share the clip because I actually went by the bridge where this scene takes place. Actually, you know what? Let's just react to this video. I forget why I clicked off it, so let's give it a reaction.
In your life.
We're gonna start over from the beginning.
Opportunities in your life. Every time you walk out into the world, you cross paths with women who have the potential to bring in infinite opportunities in your life. That cute girl that you see at the coffee shop, that cute girl you see at the gym, she could potentially be your future wife, your future girlfriend, your future hookup buddy. But you never have access to these opportunities unless you give yourself these opportunities, unless you actually approach these women. But the biggest reason that men don't approach the women that deep down they know they'd like to approach is because of their fear, nervousness, and anxieties. And in this video, I'm going to show you the two mindsets and reframes that will completely remove these nerves for you and make it so that you'll never be nervous around girls again. I want you to imagine that anytime you approach a girl, it is the equivalent of you walking up to her and handing her a $100 bill. If you're a high-value guy who you know...
There's a place for that. They're called strip clubs.
deep down has a lot to offer to her in a relationship as a man and in general, then you should see you coming into her life and giving her the opportunity to get to know you, to get to spend time with you, to potentially go through the process of becoming your romantic partner, your girlfriend. That should be the equivalent of you handing her a $1 million bill, because you should feel confident in yourself and your substance as a man that not only are you worthy of this girl, but also you are testing to see if she is worthy of you. You know that you have so much value to offer that even by striking up a conversation, it's the equivalent of you giving her $100. But the reason you don't think about your interactions with women in this way is because deep down you don't feel worthy of these women. And the reason you don't feel worthy is because somewhere in your life you are detecting an incongruence. You feel that the actions, the character traits, the things that you do in your day-to-day life don't make you a worthy partner for the highest caliber of women. And you'd be wise to reflect on that. Why don't you feel that you're worthy? What would make you worthy of these types of women? What are you doing in your day-to-day life that makes you feel so incongruent and so unworthy of the highest types of women? So if you have even an ounce of self-belief in yourself as a man, you should view every opportunity for you to approach a woman as you doing her a favor, because you really are that great of a man and you can make her life that much better by having you in it. And if that doesn't feel congruent to you, if you don't feel like that is a true statement for you, then it is best for you to internally reflect and figure out where you feel that you're coming up short and what you would need to do to feel worthy of these types of women. Because the danger is that a lot of times, just because you've never dated high caliber of women, you feel unworthy and like an imposter around these women. You feel like they're going to find out something about you that's going to make them turned off. And it may just be fear. It may be fear of thinking that you can't keep this type of woman. It may be fear because of a lack of familiarity, because you've never been with a type of woman like this before, so you don't know what it's going to take to keep her. You need to understand where this fear and this unworthiness is coming from, because once you understand it, then you'll be on the path to setting yourself free from it. The second reframe that's important to consider is walking through life with an opportunistic mindset. As a man, we have to make do with the hand that we're dealt. We can't complain. We just have to make the best of the situations that we're given. Not only do we have
Work with what you're given. That I can get behind.
to make the best out of those situations, but we should be actively hunting and looking for opportunities to reach our goals and to conquer the task at hand. And more often than not, guys are not looking for the opportunity. They're looking for the excuse when it comes to approaching women. They may see a beautiful girl at the bar when they're out with their friends, but instead of saying, hey, here she is, let me go and approach her, she's right in front of me, they'll say, oh, she's with a group of friends, oh, her back is turned, oh, she doesn't really look like she wants me to talk to her, oh, she's probably not going to hear me over the music, oh, it's kind of packed, I'd have to say excuse me and go through like 3 or 4 people to say hi to her. All of these are excuses. All of these are justifications, rationalizations, you coping and bullshitting yourself so that you don't have to leave your comfort zone, so that you don't have to go and do the hard thing. But the problem with these excuses is that they make you more and more actively invested in staying where you are currently, rather than investing in moving in the direction that you'd like to be, in the direction of your goals. So the next time you see a beautiful woman that you really do know you want to approach, and you start feeling these excuses coming up, ask yourself, right now, is my mindset, is my decision making, and is what I'm about to do next, whether approach her or not approach her, is my mindset going to make me more invested in staying where I'm at, or is it an investment in where I'd like to be? Because every single thing that we do in life is an investment of time, energy, resources, effort. We're constantly choosing how to invest these resources.
Yeah, sometimes I've said before in videos that there is no perfect time for things, but there's also better times than others for that approach. And yeah, investments too.
That the universe has given us. However, you can either invest them in the direction of your goals, or you can invest them in the same exact spot you're standing in right now. And the choice is up to you. Because I can tell you from experience, there's nothing more empowering than having the skills and having the spirit and the fire burning inside you and the freedom that comes from being able to take advantage of all of the opportunities that life throws your way, whether it's in business, whether it's in dating, whether it's approaching that beautiful girl that you see on the aisle at Whole Foods. Because trust me, there's absolutely no better feeling than floating through life free as a bird, approaching a girl when you see her, doing what you want.
Are supermarkets really the kind of place where you want to approach? DBDR once said that places like that, restaurants as well, people are there to get in, get their things, and then get out. Honestly, I would not be against if something like the grocery store had a more social experience. That would be cool, but unfortunately, I don't think that's gonna happen. Because people are there to get what they need and then get out. They aren't there with the intention of meeting anyone, and quite frankly, I wouldn't blame them if they decided they didn't. I wouldn't blame them if they were shocked or confused by it. Like, I don't think. First off, I don't think anyone wants to be approached while they're at the supermarket. Two, even if they would like to be approached, they would probably end up being annoyed because they're focused on the task they're there to do. They are there to get the groceries, and they're there to get out after they pay for it, of course.
Having an urge and being able to act on it. I have the urge to go make a connection with this girl. I'm going to go do it. Because I promise you, there is no failure here. Because as long as you have that inner freedom, as long as you're living true to that inner spirit, that inner desire, that inner fire that is burning inside of you that wants to go out and conquer and live with that sense of freedom and reckless abandon and without any limiters or any excuses, just in pure synchronicity with your true nature and your true desires and being able to act on them. Because once you reach that state, it is impossible for you to lose. And being able to progress in this skill, in this area, and doing one of the most difficult and toughest things, putting yourself in front of rejection by a beautiful woman time and time again, you will be a better man for it, and your spirit will only become stronger. Now, if you want help cultivating this inner spirit and freedom in your dating life, in your relationships with women, so you can go out and get dates with women, you go out and forge relationships with women without needing to slave away, spending time and failing a bunch, making no progress, you can apply to work with me and my team to help cultivate this freedom with you in your own day.
Of course, an advertisement for an online course. Why am I not surprised? Sorry about that little mishap. Really wish I could just. Honestly, I kind of wish that Switch 2 pre-orders would start at like 5 or 6 a.m. Well, if that's the thing, if they start at 5 or 6 a.m. here on the East Coast, then it would be like 2 or 3 a.m. on the West Coast. And apparently that wouldn't be fair to everyone living on the West Coast. You know, maybe I should move to the West Coast. Seems like a decent place. Pacific time zone, they get all the benefits of things early. If something starts or comes out at midnight here in the greater Boston area, it drops at 9 p.m. over there, which I think is an unfair advantage. You know, back with network broadcast television, your show would air at 9 p.m. Eastern, and it might be 8 p.m. if it's picked up by someone in the next time zone over. Central time, I think it is. But here's the thing, all the broadcast networks covering that particular time zone would air it at 9 p.m. Central. And then there'd be some overlap with the 8 p.m. Mountain Time. And if anyone in the Eastern time zone would be able to pick it up, 10 p.m. local time. And then you get all the way to the West Coast, 9 p.m. Pacific is 10 p.m. Mountain, 11 p.m. Central, midnight Eastern. I envy the West Coast so much for being able to just get things that drop at midnight here at 9 p.m. Or if it drops at 9 p.m. here, 6 p.m. over there. I mean, not that I keep up with TV that drops week to week anymore, but I digress.
Life. We were able to do it for my student Hector, who was fresh off of the divorce and in a really dark place. And just working with us over the course of a few weeks, he said he was able to learn more in 2 months working with us than in years of marriage. And that in that span of time, we got him more experience and more connections with women than he ever had in his entire life. So if you want to completely revamp your dating life and be able to date from a place of freedom
So, you're advocating quantity over quality.
and abundance, then apply to work with me and my team. And if you're a younger guy who's on a tighter budget, but you still want to create that abundance and freedom in your dating life, then please feel free to check out the free course we launched. We did it specifically for you guys. A lot of you guys have been asking over the last few months, hey, I want to work with you, I can't afford it. But
Yeah, I'm not giving you free advertising.
this formula on your screen is the easiest way to get a girlfriend in 2025.
Life Maximalist. Private dating consultant. Apply to work with me. No, I don't think I will. Wow, 300,000 on dating apps? Why? Yeah, this guy's clearly a tryhard. It's clearly trying to prey on men's insecurities about all of this. Oh, here's an interesting one. Oh, hey, Russell. Well, you missed out on me reading a very depressing article that I had to give up on when I was recording the... What was it? I was trying to record a long-form video of it for next week, but then I decided to try it on here. I actually got even less further into it than when I recorded that, because it was an hour-long video that I ultimately aborted because it was just getting really depressing. Here, I'll show you the headline, and I think you'll be able to piece together exactly why it's depressing and why it was starting to make me wonder if the invention of the automobile was a mistake. See that? California DMV? Really? The California DMV has got to do better. Luckily, I do not live in California. I live on the opposite side of the country, although I envy California and Californians because they will be able to pre-order the Switch 2 at a reasonable hour of the night. If I lived on the West Coast, I'd be able to pre-order my Switch 2 and then have a solid hour and 45 minutes before or the bedtime in my iPhone's health app. But no, I live on the East Coast. I mean, one of the upsides of living on the East Coast in terms of things we have is that we have the largest domed Omnimax theater in the region. I think the only Omnimax theater in the region. talking about the Mugar Omni Theater at the Museum of Science. I saw The Martian on there last night, and it was a great experience. Glad I'd seen it already, the movie itself, because the bottom left and right corners of the frame were cut off by the projector. Kind of annoying, but other than that, I really don't have any complaints. So how are you doing today? Also, rural Minnesota. Pretty jealous of everywhere else. Yeah, I don't know what. I'll admit, I can't really think of anything to do in rural Minnesota. You must be very far away from Minneapolis if that's the case. That's the cap. Yeah, Minneapolis is the capital. Loaf is from there. You know, what's that guy been up to? Let's take a look. Uh-oh, his friend got arrested. Alright, let's just take a quick look to see if he got out. Well, he must have been released on bail or something. Oh, Loaf proposed to. Is that an actual proposal or is this all just clickbait and it's part of a prank? Yeah, I'll admit, prank videos like from this guy, I got into them in late 2022 because I really wanted to. I really needed a laugh, and they provide pretty cheap laughs. I. Oh, you live close to Canada. 4 hours away from Minneapolis. Yeah, that's definitely far away from all the action and all the offerings of a city. Me, I don't want to say too much about my proximity to Boston, but again, I am in the greater Boston area, the wider region. So that's how I was able to manage going to see The Martian at the Mugar Omni Theater there. Great theater experience, minus the lack of popcorn. My butt falling asleep in the seat because they aren't reclining seats, which they wouldn't bother because they usually use that theater to show 45-minute documentaries because they gotta use it for educational purposes throughout the day, but at night they'll do something. They'll occasionally do something like it was a panel of actual scientists that talked for about 45 minutes before starting the actual movie, which I appreciated. It was cool. Well, anyway, some of the loaf favorites of mine from when I just needed a quick laugh. There was asking people to invest in my illegal company. That one, he basically proposed a Michael Vick style business. Wait, yeah, asking for weird custom cakes. This one was terrible Subway job interview prank. The job interview pranks are entertaining. The fake employee ones, too. Let's see. Where's a fake employee one? Oh, inappropriate Siri prank. This one's funny. Prisoner picking up girls. Scarecrow scare. Embarrassing vlogger. Frat boys get in my face. Trick-or-treating in the drive-thru prank. Really? You thought, you think all Boston people have Boston accents? Well, I didn't grow up in the city like my parents did. Yeah, the movies are probably overplaying it. Matt Damon, yeah, or as Matt's son Trey Parker would say, Matt Damon. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. Look, I've seen Good Will Hunting. That accent's a little over exaggerated. Actually, I was gonna go to the Good Will Hunting bench yesterday, but then I didn't have anyone to come with me to take a picture because it would have been really hard for my mom and I to find parking there and then parking at the Museum of Science garage. So we just went to the planetarium show in the Mugar Omni Theater and then went home. We did get a little bit of walking around the Red Wing done. That's the free section of the museum where you just have to pay for like the Mugar Omni Theater or the planetarium if you're going to either or. Yeah, I had a little fun when I went to the outside T-Rex statue while we were walking around. I took a picture of its feet and sent a picture of that to my friend and said, "The T-Rex gave me feet pics." No, I'm not into T-Rex feet. I just want to get that out there. I just thought it would be funny because of how close I could get to the T. Well, it's more about that I could zoom in very well with my phone camera. That's actually the camera that this stream is on right now. So you are looking at me through on a screen that is taking the lens of my iPhone and showing this setup to you. Alright, cooking food in Walmart prank. I could use a good laugh from this one. This is probably the cleanest.
I don't want to hear any Arby's
This is the cleanest one I can find.
slander, guys, even though I did an entire job interview prank slandering Arby's.
How do I feel working at a restaurant that slogan is "We have the meats"? You feel like I'm comfortable as a man talking about "We have the meats"?
I still don't want to hear it. It's actually pretty good. Man, what the fuck, Arby's? I was literally just praising you guys.
There's a fucking hair.
You see it? What the fuck, Arby's? Oh, fuck! Fucking spilling shit! Never going to Arby's again, dude. God damn, bro. They looked at me like I was on meth. I like ran into the bathroom and started like taking a bunch of paper towels. You know, this all could have been avoided if you would just open up the fucking dining room and let us eat in there. I promise. I'll sit as far away from everyone as I need to. I don't want to sit next to people anywhere. I feel like I pissed my pants. Now my dick's cold because the au jus. I was like freezing in the cold ass weather. We are doing the cooking on the job prank today. We got
You know, I've never actually been to an Arby's. Seriously, never been. They don't have any in my area, at least none that I'm aware of. Or if they do, I just never got around to it. I mean, there's this, I think it was Saturday Night Live that did a sketch where I've never been to an Arby's because I don't think I've ever even seen one in the greater Boston area. Let me actually look it up. Arby's locations. Alright, I'm going onto the Arby's official website. Sorry, I don't want to put it on screen here because I don't want to. Well, long story short, the closest one. Yeah, I can imagine it's probably good for just fast food, but nothing worth writing home about. Now, the closest location to me, I think I've said too much, but the only one in the entire state of Massachusetts is outside of Worcester. Worcester, that's how you pronounce it. See, that's how I was able to trick you into thinking that I was... See, that's how I don't have the accent. I have to sometimes go out of my way to pronounce it the way it's supposed to. So yeah, I've never had the meats, and I don't think I'm inclined to go out of my way to go all the way to Worcester just to try that out. Sorry, it is what it is.
Rich Foreman grill, a toaster, some bacon and some bread, and then we got the Walmart vest back there. I like how my car is always just full of...
So yeah, for context, he's going into Walmart, and then he's going to pretend to be an employee cooking his breakfast in the next to the checkout lanes.
boxes and bags and stuff from all the pranks that we do. Check out my name tag though. We got Emma. I identify as a woman.
What are you doing?
What's that?
What are you doing?
Actually, in response to the expensive Arby's, there was a video, I think it was Saturday night. Oh, I found it. Pretty sure SNL won't mind if I show it on the stream. It's available on YouTube publicly to literally anyone with an internet connection. Basically, they make fun of how the prices are still relatively cheap, but if you say that it's gotten more expensive, I'll take your word for it. Personally, after my experience at the restaurant on Monday, where I witnessed the shitification of the dish I used to order from over the course of 2022, 2023, and 2024 because I can't easily make it at home. Yeah, I wouldn't really want to. Anyway, let's see. Let me show you what I was talking about.
It's packed. The Arby's 5 for 10. That's right. You get 5 Arby's roast beef sandwiches for only $10. That's 5 stacked, juicy roast beef sandwiches for just $10. What do you have to say about that?
I guess all I have to say is how.
Yeah, that just seems like a lot of roast beef sandwiches for $10.
Yeah, that's very sus.
5 heaping piles of tender roast beef for only 10 measly dollars. Can you even believe it?
Does it meet the FDA's definition of roast beef? That's what I'd like to know.
Honestly, no.
Yeah, we're struggling to understand the physics of how this much roast beef is $10.
Yeah, because isn't one roast beef sandwich normally at least $5?
Ha ha ha. I bet you never thought $10 could get you 5 mountains of roast beef.
No, that's exactly what we're saying. We don't think it's possible.
Yeah, I just Googled roast beef at the grocery store and it sells for $11 a pound, but you're saying...
We're giving Giving you pound after pound of roast beef for just $10?
Yeah, see, that's what's throwing us off. Because if roast beef is $11 a pound, I mean, I know bread is super cheap, but it's not negative dollars.
Arby's is a for-profit business, right? Like, your goal is to make money? Because I can make 5 roast beef sandwiches at home for $10.
I don't think I can make 5 roast beef sandwiches for less than $30.
So I guess we're wondering, where are you getting all this roast beef?
Arby's, we have the meat.
No. That doesn't answer his question. We know you have the meat, but where are you getting the meat?
Also, what kind of meats?
And over at Taco Bell, don't miss the new $5 box.
What?
You get a chalupa supreme, a beefy 5 burrito, cinnamon twists, nacho cheese and chips, and the 20-ounce soda for only $5.
Oh my God, is that real?
Look it up. It's the $5 box only at Taco Bell.
Okay, I don't like that you changed the subject to Taco Bell. Because now I have a lot of questions about this $5 box.
Yeah, you really have to wonder how they get that low. Now, back in November, yeah, it's not just where are they getting the meats. Does it even meet the FDA definition of meats in the first place? But back in November, I used to go over to go over to Dunkin' for breakfast on days I didn't have the instant gratification job, and they had the $6 meal, which was an app exclusive. You had to sign up for a Dunkin' account, and you had to order it through the app. Actually, you had to scan your barcode and be able to get your. You had to scan your barcode and or pay with the app or something to get your meal for $6. It was a bacon, egg, and cheese breakfast sandwich, hash browns, and a medium hotter iced coffee. Yeah, they were just trying to keep you on their loyalty program, so anything deeply discounted like that has to be like an app thing, most likely.
You get multiple burritos and cinnamon twists and chips with nacho cheese and a giant soda for $5?
How can that physically happen? That means each full burrito is like 70 cents.
So Arby's is looking pretty good by comparison, right?
No, this all sounds horrible. Man, I thought the 4 for $4 menu at Wendy's was insane.
Ooh, what's that?
Oh, that's a full cheeseburger, an order of chicken tenders, fries, and a soda for $4.
Sounds suspicious.
Hold on, Ving Rhames? You do the voiceover in the store?
That's right. I'm physically present at every Arby's location. Arby's, we have the Rames.
Sorry, and you think the Wendy's deal sounds suspicious?
You're the ones offering 5 giant
Towers.
of roast beef for $10.
How many sandwiches do you get from one cow?
Oh, I don't know, 1 million?
We'd rather pay more and get less roast beef. Then we wouldn't be worried so much about where it came from.
Okay, so how much for how much?
Okay, I don't know. I guess 2 roast beef sandwiches for $12?
I think 3 for 15.
You're gonna eat 3 roast beef sandwiches?
Hey, you do not shame me. No.
Keep my sandwich's name out your mouth. Oh, you like Taco Bell? Yeah, that's cool. It's not something I would usually go to because, again, I've kind of disavowed restaurants for the most part. Like today, I made a cheeseburger pizza for lunch. That's where I cooked a burger patty, and then I chopped it up and put it on top of a pizza dough after I put on the quarter cup of barbecue sauce, like I would for the pizza sauce, and then the usual half cup of cheese, and then the chopped up bits of the burger patty that I cooked, and then I also threw some pickles on there because I could. And then for dinner, I made a buffalo chicken sandwich, tater tots, and I made my own bun. I make my own bread products now because I don't have to worry about the shelf life, and I don't have to ingest the garbage that they use to have it keep that shelf life.
my
Anyway, let's
debut Arby's
finish.
commercial.
Arby's, new 3 for 15. You'll pay a little more, but at least you'll understand how it could physically be possible.
Actually, you'll be paying more because it's probably real roast beef in the first place and not whatever garbage they use to fill it. And that's assuming that whatever's in the 5 for $10 would even meet the FDA's definition of beef. Oh, you make your own bread too? Cool. Yeah. Is it to avoid the garbage that RFK is probably going to try kicking out? Or do you just prefer not having to worry about it going bad? Because I can just make one bun per sandwich, and I don't have to worry about whether it'll go bad later on. Now, my cousin actually poked fun at me for this by asking if I grow my own food as well, which I would not be against growing my own food. The problem is you need a lot more land just to feed one person. Yeah, it's not exactly realistic. Both reasons, but mostly so I know what's actually in it. Yeah, I can respect that. I mean, technically you can know objectively what's inside, but you won't know what it is when you read it. You'd have to Google every individual item. Actually, let's bring up the ingredients list on store-bought bread. I'll let you know when I have the page ready, but suffice it to say, at least they don't have the yoga mat material that McDonald's buns do. I just need to adjust this a little. Yes, with yoga mats. I really wish I was lying to you. There's a lot of things I wish that I could say I was making up, like the time I founded a Flat Earth Society at the movie theater I worked at. That actually happened. But anyway, let's read the ingredients of store brand bread. No, not store brand. Pepperidge Farm, Farmhouse, hearty white bread. Made from enriched wheat flour, niacin, reduced iron, thiamine mononitrate, riboflavin, folic acid, water, sugar, yeast. Contains 2% or less of salt, vegetable oils, soybean and or canola. Oh, so seed oils. Monoglycerides, calcium propionate, and sorbic acid to extend freshness. Malted barley flour, wheat, soy, lecithin, datin, wheat gluten. Contains wheat, milk, and soy. Contains bioengineered food ingredients. The ingredients from canola, soy, and sugar in this product came from genetically modified crops. Yeah, that's way more ingredients than what I do with my pizza dough and my buns. Let's actually go over... Let's actually go over it. So, I do use flour. I'm gonna guess the... I'm not sure if those things that they say is in it is part of that. I also do use water, sugar, and yeast. And I use salt. Here's where I start to deviate from this. I use olive oil instead of soybean and or canola. And then there's no way I could add monoglycerides, calcium propionate, and sorbic acid. I don't really need to extend the freshness because everything I make is meant to be consumed right away. Now, I would not be against being able to extend the freshness of the cookies I make, though right now I'm eating through the ice cream that I got from the store this week. So yeah, basically the ingredients are the same, are at first the same as what I use to make my own stuff. But then they use a seed oil instead of olive oil. And then they add a bunch of garbage to extend the shelf life. Which, hey, if it prevents mold, then I guess it's slightly better than eating moldy bread. But at the same time, it might be a sign you should go to the fresh baked bread aisle and maybe find other ways to... Maybe find things other than bread to eat. But of course, I'm one to talk because I literally made a pizza for lunch and then my own bun for a sandwich, for a chicken sandwich. It is what it is, and quite frankly, it's not only cheaper, it's generally better to just make your own stuff where possible. Like, just buy the raw materials and then go from there. Like, I bought a 10-pound bag of sugar on Saturday. It was part of a delivery I got, and what I realized when I did the math and figured out that 10-pound... I've never made buns. I usually just make French bread or classic wheat. Cool. I'm guessing you use it for, like, sandwiches and such. I personally make individual recipes for an individual bun so that I can just eat that, and then if I want to go a whole week without making it and just focus on the pasta inventory, I can do that. Hang on, I also want to... Speaking of the sugar I was talking about earlier, I actually want to bring up a Simpsons clip that proves just how much inflation has jacked up prices since whenever the episode in question aired. Alright, I believe it was this one.
Hurry up and finish eating.
You're steering fine, boy. Hard to the right, hard to the left. Hit, steer, old man. Ah! Jackknife sugar truck. Sugar? Don't worry, buddy. Here's your quarter. Call for help at the nearest phone.
Yeah, we don't care about this, but I just want to get to this part of it before Disney decides, oh, Henry, we're going to punish you for showing our copyrighted content, even though we had nothing to do with the making of this clip at the time. Ah!
Homer, I really appreciate you making dinner, but this food tastes a little strange. It hurts my teeth.
That's because I've loaded it with sugar. Marge, our ship has come in. I found 500 pounds of sugar in the forest that I'm going to sell directly to the consumer, and all for a low, low price of $1 per pound.
But the grocery store sells sugar for 35 cents a pound. And it doesn't have nails and broken glass in it.
Those are
The price of sugar is literally the excessive pricing that Homer Simpson tried in that clip. Homer Simpson's sugar price is now the standard for store brand sugar. Actually, let's look up what the name brand costs, because I always buy store brand. That's another way to save money. Buy store brand. Only buy name brand if it's steeply discounted. It's part of my 5D chess money saving tactics. Alright, here we go. $4 for a 4-pound bag of sugar. $5 for Domino brand. Well, it's on sale for $4 right now, but that's beside the point. Oh, you look at that. Domino sells a 3.5-pound sugar tub. I mean, that would be very useful for just scooping out my bread sugar, because I only need 1 teaspoon for, what is it? Pizza dough. 1/4 teaspoon for a bun. Alright, 1-pound bag. Huh. That's weird. 1 pound. Hold on. Oh, wait, 1 pound is 16 ounces, and then 32 ounces for that. Yeah, they offer Domino for $3.69 for 32 ounces compared to $3 for store brand. And then 10 pounds of sugar from store brand is $10. Whereas Domino, do they even have a 10-pound option? Oh, here we go. $14 for that. Oh, sugar plants like, are you talking about the manufacturing plants or the crop? I'm gonna guess you were talking about the crop because it comes from beets. Oh, cool. I'm gonna guess that a lot of the sugar here is refined. Refined from beets, or I don't know, you just let me know if there's more to it than just that. Oh, hey, there's a vertical video I found criticizing or that seems to be something about the male loneliness epidemic. Looks like looks like it might be a parody of it. Should we watch it? Oh, so it is the crop. So I'm guessing it's refined into the crystal sugar. Anyway, while I was talking about that, I found what looks like it might be a parody criticizing the male loneliness epidemic. Yeah, let's watch it, see what they have to say.
The male loneliness epidemic. You've subscribed to every Manosphere podcast bro in existence, memorized the Red Pill ideology playbook like the back of your hand, purchased as many fake gender-affirming testosterone supplements as you could possibly ingest, yet you still haven't found any use for that stick you bought to beat off the ceaseless droves of women who should be vying for your attention. So, what gives? Well, the problem with any and all advice received from dating bros is the fact that every single one of their opinions, be it a pickup line, dating strategy, or mathematical equation to determine how young is too young, which is X equals a 100% chance that if you feel the need to do math, then she's definitely too young for you, can be boiled down to a singular, consistent approach. They're attempting to quantify women.
I thought that rule of thumb was your age divided by 2 plus 7. That's what I heard was the standard.
They are taking advantage of the fact that lonely young men who are heartbroken and yearning for just a little bit of love and affection to make them feel more connected and less alone in this cruel, tumbling snow globe of a world don't want to hear the actual solution to their incestuous predicament, which is, it's really not that hard to get a woman to date you, and even easier to get one to sleep with you if that's what you're going for. Let's be real. It's been hardwired into both our culture and DNA since long before anyone can remember. You just have to, A, not hyper-focus and infatuate over one specific person, and B, treat and view them.
It's called one-itis.
As people, right? Folks do not enjoy being dehumanized and objectified, and I know you don't think you're doing that, but by ascribing terms like high and low value to individuals as if romance should be conducted like some sort of business transaction based on the creepiest arbitrary criteria like body count, age, number of kids, preference of religion, submissiveness, the size of certain body parts, and facial symmetry, you've effectively removed your ability to approach every single new romantic endeavor with authenticity and nuance. You're playing the manly, intelligent, emotionally shallow, and financially well-off Sigma male character that they told you was objectively the most attractive, and she is only going to be impressed by things like spending lots of money on her, driving a Bugatti, beating up total strangers over the slightest of transgressions, always having a very confident opinion about things regardless of knowledge, big muscles, and just telling her what she thinks and how she feels instead of attempting to listen to her silly little lady brain squeak out another incomprehensible opinion. The real objective piece of advice that will grant you the highest chance of success on every new romantic quest is that every single person is different and you have to get to know them and be willing to express yourself in a way which makes them feel comfortable enough to talk to you about it if anything is going wrong, and then adapt and adjust accordingly to their wants and needs, because nobody is stagnant, everybody is constantly evolving into something new, and most importantly of all, recognize that if you can't trust your partner enough to let them hang out with a certain specific set of friends, that's already a bad relationship. Get out. Every single person is different, and therefore, a unique strategy will be required to woo them into the comfort of your sweet romantic embrace every single time. And that's the real secret to overcoming.
The real secret to overcoming what? 3.5 minutes. Probably might have been. If it were 40 seconds shorter, I would have thought it would have been part of YouTube Shorts' new extended duration. Yeah, I agree with him for the most part. He makes a lot of sense, I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was just gonna be a... Honestly, I thought it was gonna be straight up parodic throughout, where he would just be saying things really sarcastically. But no, he broke character pretty quickly.
How young is too young?
So let's go over some of his points and see what we agree and disagree with.
Possibly ingest yet. You still haven't. Should be vying
Yeah,
for your
supplements
attention.
alone are not going to suddenly turn your life around and change you into a different person.
mathematical equation to determine how young is too young, which is X equals a 100% chance that if you feel the need to do math, then she's definitely too young for you, can be boiled down to a singular, consistent approach. They're attempting to quantify women. They are taking advantage of the fact that lonely young men who are heartbroken and yearning for just a little bit of love and affection to make them feel more connected and less alone in this cruel, tumbling snow globe of a world don't want to hear the actual solution to their incestuous predicament, which is, it's really not that hard to get a woman to date you, and even
Yeah, it's not impossible. I was actually considering this speed dating event that I'd been getting ads for, that there was going to be one tonight where I could actually sign up for a free ticket, show up, and then if they need someone to fill in a slot, like say, if they don't have enough women, if they don't have enough men, I guess, then I would be brought in to fill the spot so that there'd be an even number of, there'd be the same number of men and the same number of women, a 1-to-1 ratio. You get the idea. Ultimately, I decided not to do that because this would be the third night in a row that I'd have gone out. Monday, I went to dinner with my friends. Last night, I went to the Mugar Omni Theater.
easier to get one to sleep with you if that's what you're going for.
But yeah, it is technically, physically possible. It might be a more uphill battle in some ways, or for some people, but I don't believe that it's a case of either be hot or go home.
Or, let's be real, it's been hardwired into both our culture and DNA since long before anyone can remember. You just have to, A, not hyper-focus and infatuate over one specific person, and B...
Yeah, so basically... Oh, you wanted to try speed dating at one point? Cool. Yeah, it's a interesting concept. I mean, I looked up more speed dating in Boston, and there are various other venues for various ages. This one in particular was for people in their 30s, but a year or two outside that age range is allowed. So I'm 28, so I am the youngest that would be allowed. Honestly, I kind of wanted to go just so that I could be the youngest person there. But also, I've heard that a lot of these things are having way more women show up than men, leading to a lot of cancellations. So I honestly wanted to go to see it for myself or find out that Aaron Clary's been lying to me. Not that I watch him all that often. I unsubscribed because I think he takes way too hardline of a stance against quote unquote electronic junk in cars, among other modern things that, yeah, aren't perfect, but they are a net positive in the long run. Like the quote unquote electronic junk that's now being mandated, such as collision warnings and rear view and backup cameras. I think those are all a net positive. An article I read in my video why it's way too easy to get a driver's license in America. The author explained that cars these days are larger and therefore you have more blind spots, so they need to fill the blind spots. these useful tools, as I call them, are there for a reason. They're not just doing this for fun and games. Either cars need to be smaller and not have the blind spots, or you're just gonna have to accept that the quote-unquote electronic junk is in there. Frankly, if the government decided to ban cars that don't have them from being on the road, I would not be against that. I don't know if I'd go out of my way to do it if I were made dictator of Earth tomorrow, but I would definitely not be opposed to it because it would definitely be a useful tool. But anyway, I also agree with Shibuki Sunshine's
Treat
point
and view them as people, right?
to just
Folks
treat
do
them
not
as
enjoy being
people.
dehumanized.
Now, I will say that in terms of the value thing that he was criticizing, it's more about just understanding if you feel like someone's worth trying to date or not. Like me, I automatically disqualify any woman who drinks alcohol. That's just how I am. It's my boundary, and I am willing to accept that I'm going to reduce my options drastically, and I'm at peace with that. It's actually why I think speed dating events like that would be ideal. I'd be able to see. Oh, come on, phone camera. You're gonna do this now? Sorry about that. I'm sorry you had to see that. But anyway, the whole idea of the going to the speed dating was so that I could literally see the woman that I talked to order drinks and consume them. And once I verified if it was alcohol or not, I would just politely go about the conversation and then go about my day. And then, I mean, if the man is expected to ask for the phone number or something like that, then I could very easily just not do that. You're right. It's best to have boundaries to avoid problems later. Like, don't even get me started on alcohol. The whole reason I don't want that around me. As I've said in videos and live streams, I literally avoid it at all costs. I can't take it too extreme because if I can't just boycott places that sell alcohol because then I'd have nowhere that I could get groceries from and then I'd eventually die of starvation. So I kind of have to accept that stores and restaurants are going to sell it. My friends actually drank around me on Monday. The difference is, though, it was my friend's birthday dinner, so my stance is if it's not organized by me and not an event that has my name on it, I don't mind. Hey, you're speaking my language, Russell. As my abnormal psychology teacher said about heroin, I say about drugs. What he said about, oh, not just drugs, alcohol. In class, every now. The 2 classes I had him once and then another time. Come on, Mr. Camera. Really? You're gonna do this to me now? Bad camera. Bad. I'm sorry you had to see that. Oh, great. We're frozen now. Okay, little visual stimulation here. Oh, we're back. Alright, yeah. So what he said was, stay the hell away from it. It will mess you up. It will ruin your life. Stay the hell away from it. He was a great teacher. Anyway, I put up with it when it's my friend's thing because they've been my friends since before any of us were able to drink. So, they're grandfathered in, if you will. Going forward, new friends, I'm gonna be a little stricter about. And obviously a potential girlfriend. So as soon as... So basically, if I were to go to the speed dating event, as soon as I verify whether it's alcohol or not and why it's not alcohol, because unfortunately just not being alcoholic would only be a yellow flag instead of a green flag. Because it might be a case where she has to drive home, therefore can't drink, but would if not for that. Whereas yeah, society definitely is very hypocritical about putting alcohol on a pedestal, and 420 as well, while also outlawing other things. Like in Breaking Bad, there's this great scene where Walt asks, hey, questions the legitimacy of banning substances with Hank. Honestly, my rule of thumb for anything like that is, if it makes you unable to operate heavy machinery for any amount of time after consuming it, as abnormal psychology teacher said, stay the hell away from it. That's not to say I endorse the stuff he said to stay the hell away from. I definitely wholeheartedly agree with him because heroin really will mess you up. So do as my abnormal psychology teacher said and stay the hell away from it. But yeah, that's just my rule of thumb. Anyway, the point is, speed dating would be a great way to filter out that particular... would be a great way to solve that problem right there. Just like this government-based job matching program that I came up with earlier in the stream. I think it was before you joined, Russell. But basically it was in response to this guy on my video about the one that's now my highest performing video ever. The one about Americans not wanting manufacturing jobs. Yeah, he basically said to literally end all forms of government assistance. But here's the thing, I can't endorse just blanket removal of it, because I'm all for a safety net. I'm all for there being a safety net for if you lose your job all of a sudden or something like that. In addition to an emergency fund, like, yeah, on the personal level, people should have an emergency fund of some kind. They say 6 months is the amount of time that you should have for it. So I'd say it's good to have that. And then if you're someone who isn't able to put together an emergency fund or for whatever reason, or let's say it gets depleted all of a sudden, I still think there should be some kind of public safety net. You get what you need while you set yourself up. It would go a lot better if getting a job was a much faster process. Unfortunately, we don't live in that timeline. We live in the timeline where you have to do multiple interviews in the hopes of getting the job. And that's assuming that the one you apply for is real and not a scammer or a ghost job. See, that's why I think the government-based one would be better, because they could verify each employer, verify that they're real, and then they could more easily connect people to those jobs rather than the private job boards being able to just have anyone put up a job posting and pretend to be a company. Oh, you've never heard of ghost jobs? Basically they are job listings that are not real. Like the company, they have no intention of filling those jobs. They just have it up there to make it look like the company is growing. So yeah, Cole Hastings did a great video about it called The Fake Job Epidemic. Let's actually watch Joshua Flukes. This is from 2 years ago. But I think he'll be on point.
How's it going, everyone? Today, we're going to be talking about a phenomenon that's been plaguing the job market lately, something that we like to call ghost jobs. In fact, the Wall Street Journal is even calling it that now. No, we're not talking about like hidden jobs like a ghost kitchen or something like that. We're talking about jobs that are advertised but just don't actually exist. You know what I'm talking about. You see a job posting that seems too good to be true, like a high-paying remote job with flexible hours and great benefits. You spend a lot of time crafting the perfect cover letter and resume, then you hit that submit button, and then crickets.
Fun fact, I almost fell for one of those, but that's because it was a scammer trying to do it. I was just trying to find something, and yeah, thankfully I had someone double check it and call me out on it, because they point out that it was too good to be true, and rightfully so.
Ever hear back? You follow up with an email, you follow up with a phone call, still nothing. So you start to wonder if that job even existed in the first place. And most people don't want to believe that either, so they usually settle with themselves and say something like, oh, it wasn't a good fit, or they hired someone else, or maybe there wasn't a budget for it. Turns out you might be onto something. According to a recent article from the Wall Street Journal, many job postings are actually just ghost job positions. In a survey of more than 1,000 hiring managers last summer, 27% reported having job postings up for more than 4 months. And among those who said they advertised job postings that they weren't actively trying to fill, close to half said they kept the ads up to give the impression the company was growing. According to Clarify Capital, a small business anonymous loan provider behind the study. Now, you might be wondering, why on earth would anyone advertise a job that doesn't exist or that they're not intending on filling? Well, it's all about manipulating the job market to favor the employers. You see, by advertising fake jobs, employers can collect resume and data on potential candidates without actually having any intention of hiring anyone. This way, they can keep tabs on the job market and adjust their hiring strategies accordingly. 1/3 of the managers who said they advertised jobs they weren't trying to fill said they kept the listings up to placate overworked employees. 1/3 of managers admit to lying to employees when they say, yeah, we'll hire someone to help you out with that job. Other reasons for keeping jobs up. The hiring manager said stocking a pool of ready applicants if an employee quits, or just in case an irresistible candidate applied. Kelsey Libert, co-founder of Fractal, a digital marketing agency, says her company keeps ads up for associate positions even when they aren't hiring because turnover for those jobs is often higher than other roles. Okay, so you waste everyone's time instead. Got it. For example, imagine you're a manager at a big corporation that wants to hire a software developer. You could just advertise the job and wait for the applicants to roll in. But what if you're not so sure about the supply and demand of developers in your area? What if you're not so sure how much you should be paying them? Well, instead of taking that risk, you could advertise a fake job, collect resumes, and then use that data to make informed decisions. But wait, there's more. Apparently, companies are even using this to create the illusion of demand for certain types of jobs, which in turn allows them to offer lower wages. For example, if there are 100 applicants for a fake job that pays $50,000 a year, then the employer can argue that there's plenty of supply for that type of job and offer a lower wage to candidates. So what are some examples of ghost jobs? Well, it could be anything from entry-level positions to high-paying executive roles. It could be a job that's advertised online, or it could be a job through a recruitment agency. And we all know how those recruiters have such a great reputation in the world these days. But anyways, some of them have been known to advertise fake jobs just to get more people on their books. Now, you might be thinking, surely this is illegal, right? Well, no. Technically, it's not illegal to advertise a job that doesn't exist. It is illegal to use a fake job ad to discriminate against certain groups of people or collect personal information under false pretenses, but these practices are usually difficult to detect and even harder to prosecute. Now, in the software development world, ghost jobs take another form as well. They're usually involved when one is applying to a job and they receive a code test in return. What some of these companies are doing is they're making a job post, getting applicants, and then taking the code and never hiring any of the software developers. It's actually a pretty ingenious and scammy way to get people to build software and apps for you, decline them all, and then use applicants to build your app. And we've seen companies on this channel before take software from applicants and use it on their website. Now, I know we're talking about software developers, but I'm also well aware that it's not exclusive to just software developers. It happens to people in the copywriting world, in the design world, in the art world. Anytime people have to submit proof of work before they're offered a job, there's the potential for that job to just take your work and run. Now, of course, not all companies do this on purpose. Sometimes companies have mass layoffs and can't manage to update their career page in time. Or perhaps something at the company falls through and they don't have the budget anymore to fill that position. That would also be seen as a ghost job, even though the story behind it doesn't necessarily make it one of those that, oh, we're just trying to make ourselves look better. The lesson that everyone should walk away with here is that if companies can keep their door open, then employees can keep their door open. If they can have an endless pool of applicants on the side just in case they need them, then you should be able to have an endless amount of contacts to other HR people and hiring managers at different companies just in case you need them. Just remember, it's 2023. Loyalty isn't a thing now. Companies and managers are admitting to just keeping their door open. Yeah, it's fine. We can manipulate wages that way. We can make the company look better that way. There's a lot of things we can do by just, keeping the door open in case we don't need you anymore. So I think that says a lot to workers, and you should always be applying to jobs. Always. Even if you have a great job, always apply to jobs, always collect contact information.
The one thing about newspaper listings for jobs, you gotta admit, they have a better filter. So you would actually have to put in some effort to put in there, and I'm reasonably certain you'd have to pay for them to advertise. So you can't just make a free Indeed.com account and post, I am looking for someone to do this job. Fill it out here. No, with the newspaper one, you'd have to write out the job description, what they're looking for, and you would have to actually pay the newspaper to list it. I think. Don't quote me on that.
You don't have to finish the interview process, but in the meantime, you'll find out if they're ghost jobs or not. Either they respond or they don't. If they do respond, book the email. Anyways, guys, if you got some value out of this video, maybe consider checking out my Patreon. The link for that is down in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, maybe leave a like. Click subscribe if you'd like to see me call out more of this corporate nonsense. And if you have anything you'd like me to take a look at on the channel, you can go ahead and send it to me. Discord, email, Instagram, TikTok, unless it gets banned in a bit here. But having said all that, I hope everyone's doing well, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, it got banned, but it's just not enforced. But anyway, in regard to ghost jobs and the whole employee thing. Yeah, ghost jobs and what were we talking about earlier? We said something about ghost jobs and yeah, basically ghost jobs are the reason that we can't have nice things. It's why the government-based one should exist. They kind of had them in the 90s. Mrs. Doubtfire, 1993. Robin Williams' character had to have met with a career counselor of sorts, who I think was a social worker. He met with someone from the government who connected him to jobs. Or maybe it was the 90s equivalent of Indeed. Except again, they even if it was a in-person thing, they still had to filter out the ghost jobs and potential scammers for you. Yeah, we need something like that if the private companies aren't verifying. Yes, some people are going to slip through the cracks and create fake companies. Drive-by fruiting. I'm gonna guess that is to show how insulting it is to post a fake job listing or anything like that. Yeah, this is why. Anyway, the point is, we should do that in addition to having the safety net I was talking about that what's his face from the comments section keeps on going on about, being like, yeah, we're not gonna. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. This is the third night in a row I stayed up this late, but at this point, I am only staying up just so I can get my Switch 2 pre-order in. The safety net should exist. Mrs. Doubtfire and Robin Williams chucks an orange at that guy and yells, "It was a drive-by fruiting!" It's been a while since I watched Mrs. Doubtfire. I just remember best part of the movie. Yeah, I want to rewatch it now because of that. I also feel like I should rewatch it for the sake of getting a better idea of what the social worker was doing, because earlier in January I did a video where I talked about why nobody wants to have kids. Literally January 2nd. I brought up how Mrs. Doubtfire showed me that by 1993 there were stricter standards that parents were held to by CPS compared to like 50 years earlier. See, it all began from this article from Not the Bee about large families and how people in the past just figured out raising kids instead of worrying about how they were gonna pay for it, or pay for them, I mean, or get a larger space or anything like that. from the Not the Beast staff. Million reasons not to have kids. Have them anyway. The author's father grew up in a two-bedroom house with 12 people. Parents in one bedroom, sisters in another, and then the boys sleeping either on the front porch in the summer or in the cellar or attic in the winter. I have no idea how old this author is, the writer is, or how old his parents were. Yeah, the writer has 5 children and loves reading stories about how ancestors raised their families. Because it was an expectation as a natural progression of aging and becoming an adult. And before the birth rate decline in the 1990s, children came into the home naturally without much planning or consideration. And families just happened organically as part of the natural human experience. Which I can tell you right now, I'm glad we have stricter standards with CPS compared to back then. Because I'm telling you right now, if they tried this setup, 2 parents in 1 bedroom, 5 sisters and another one. If it was just the parents and the girls, they all shared a room, as long as they each had their own bed, CPS wouldn't have a problem. Here's where they would step in. The boys sleeping on the front porch in the summer, or the cellar, or in the cellar or attic in the winter. I am genuinely shocked that the writer's father isn't traumatized by this. I'm telling you right now, if someone tried that today here in America, any part of the country, CPS would be like, nope, you don't get to raise kids anymore. And then they would be brought into the foster home system where they would each have to have where each child has their own bed to sleep in, which is one of the minimum standards Robin Williams had to live up to. Yeah, if they tried that today, it wouldn't last. Especially if you're out there in the community, communing with the community. Someone's gonna report you. I'm sorry, that's just the facts. I mean, there are so many things that could go wrong with this arrangement. First of all, the boys sleeping on the front porch in the summer. Really, you're making your kids sleep outside. Am I the only one who thinks that's a terrible idea? So yeah, basically, according to the writer, we're all just making excuses, struggling to find the right partner. and a growing number of men and women simply opting out of marriage and kids completely. She and her husband were all about it being a matter of when and not if. Apparently, they had every reason not to, being poor, living in a tiny house in a bad part of town. And the writer, who is apparently the wife in this situation, on a successful professional path. But rather than make excuses, as she would put it, she went ahead and they went ahead and just had their kids. First three born close together, hand-me-downs and tight grocery budgets, while the husband built the career and stayed home during the first few years. No, well, the writer stayed home. Yeah, they were doing just fine. Still better than most of the. They were still doing better. They didn't want for basics, but they also didn't attend every single toddler gym class or mommy and me swimming clinic. And they were happy. Basically, there's a lot of social pressure for doing those things, which I think is what the writer would say is the cause of the declining birth rate. Personally, I think that's probably contributing to it because you're setting a expectation that you have to meet now. But it's not something that you absolutely need. Sure, you could argue the sense of community or the social interaction falls into that kind of need. But ultimately, as long as the housing is safe and you have enough to eat, that's what matters. So, yeah, she also goes on about the questions that come up. So, I think I'm going to actually answer some of these for myself. Do we have enough money? Her answer is there's never enough money when you have kids, no matter what you make. Honestly, at a certain point, you're going to need the money, but you're not going to have to. But you're going to have to. You do need some amount of money. See, this is why baby showers exist. It's so that you can. It's so that new parents can get everything they need and then they can rely on hand me downs for the second kid and beyond. I think it's a good thing to have a baby shower if it means making it easier on the new parents. Do we have enough time? Her answer is there's never enough time to do all the things you want when you have kids. But what I'd like to know is do you have enough time for what you need to do I guess you can get a little creative and maybe call in extended family to assist where they're willing and able. Will having kids impact my career? According to her, there's no way to avoid this as a woman. Her words, not mine. I want to make that very clear. And then, according to her, if you're a man, you'll miss out on some opportunities single people will get as you make space for your family and your career. Yeah, you won't be able to go on the same kind of business trips. You won't be able to go out and work weekends because you'll you'll want to spend time with your family, so there's that. What if I don't love staying home with my kids? Her response, there will be times that will be so hard, that will push you to your limits, that will bring you to your knees. But that's the case with virtually anything worthwhile we do in life. Yeah, I feel pretty similarly about trying to get 200% completion in Donkey Kong Country Returns HD because I'm on the mirror mode levels and I'm still struggling. It took a while to figure out level 9 of 9 because I decided to start playing through levels in reverse to get the harder ones out of the way and then I can do the easier ones. Hold on, let me pull up my list of levels. I actually made a checklist of all the levels, so level 7B is the furthest out that I need to finish. So I just have 3 levels left in World 7. I have all of World 6, then I have 4 levels in World 5. I got as far as World level 5 and 6 before I realized I should play these in reverse and get the harder ones out of the way. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, it's worthwhile to me to complete Donkey Kong Country Returns HD at 200%. I'm not trying to say it's on the same level of difficulty as raising a kid, but yeah, things that feel worthwhile to you or objectively are worthwhile are going to have difficult parts of it. And final question, what if I make parenting mistakes? Answer, you will, but you learn as you go, and kids are forgiving and resilient. I don't think those are the kinds of mistakes that most people worry about. Some mistakes do have irreversible consequences. Like, I think I told you about this one mother that Jessica Kent talked about in one of her videos who she agreed deserved to be there in prison with her despite not seeming like it because the exact way that she ended up in there was that she was drunk, rolled over, and uh, let's just say that I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this delicately. She was drunk, rolled over, and her child was unresponsive after that. A lot of the people around Jessica thought she did not belong in prison with them because it sounded like an honest mistake. But Jessica agreed that she disagreed with them and was of the mind that she deserved to be there because she was responsible for the well-being of that child. And yeah, you get the idea. Sorry to get a little depressing there, but just trying to give you an idea that yes, you can make mistakes as a parent that are irreversible. Minor ones, I can understand being able to learn from, but major ones like that, no, there's no. I mean, we can learn from it. Don't get drunk when you're around your kid. Well, I would advise never get drunk, period. But at the very least, not around your kid or around kids. As I always say about alcohol, stay the hell away from it, but especially when there are children present. Huh, I noticed that a viewer dropped off as I said that, so you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. I stand by what I said. I'm not apologizing for it. So the article ends with an emphasis that having children is the foundation for creating a successful civilization. And basically, we began to overthink it after the creation of the nuclear family became optional instead of what you're expected to do. She does admit that it's difficult, but she can't imagine it being any other way if she'd thought her way out of being a mother. And she found a way to grow her professional life on the side while raising kids full time. Because according to her, having kids is not optional, and she never resented her role as a mother. It's just who she is. Yeah, here's the thing. I think people who want to have kids should be enabled to do so. Anyone who doesn't want to should just be left alone. If they don't want to do it, why should we force them? You will literally be bringing that hypothetical child into a world where the parent probably resents them, assuming they don't just leave them at a safe haven. They don't surrender them in a safe haven anonymously. Like one of the legal spots where within a certain amount of time you can just anonymously give up a baby up for adoption, no questions asked, anonymously. Like at that point, if you're in the mindset of you really don't want to raise children, you're just better off using safe haven laws and safely surrendering them to someone who is actually willing to do that. Yeah, what I always say is there is a certain level of willingness that needs to go into something like that, because someone who's reluctant might be a little bit negligent. Somebody who is completely unwilling might find a different way out of the situation. Oh, you look at that. It's 6 minutes to midnight. I need to use the bathroom before I set up my pre-order, so enjoy this video gameplay footage while I get ready for the whole point of this stream. You stayed up with me this long, now we're gonna see it through to the end. Getting my Switch 2 pre-order, and I'm not actually gonna show you the process on screen, but you'll get to see the look in my eyes while I do it. So I'll be right back. Sorry about the crossing of the streams, but bathroom was occupied, and I do not want to risk running late because I don't know how long the person in there is going to be. Let's just get this set up. All right. Project switch up. Best Buy. Yeah, so my first choice is Best Buy, followed by Target, then Walmart, then GameStop. Just gonna make sure that I'm logged into all the accounts. And most importantly, I need to make sure that I get the Mario Kart bundle. Oh, Walmart's holding my spot. No, I don't want to sign up for Walmart Plus. You know what? Maybe I should just not use Walmart if they're gonna try and push Walmart Plus on me. Alright. Come on, Target. Alright, while I wait, I'm going to... Oh, it's after midnight! Come on. Alright, moment of truth. Still nothing on GameStop. Oh, come on. Target's already sold out in the Mario Kart World Bundle. Okay, come on. Best Buy. Oh, no. Come on, Best Buy. Maybe it just needs a minute. Alright, come on, Walmart. Okay, I think I have to go back to the Walmart page. That's the third time it's offered to hold my spot. It better not be something that I can only do under the Walmart Plus plan. Okay, I was definitely right to hold it in just a little bit longer. Oh wait, Target's letting me add the pre-order to... Nope, it's said something went wrong. Alright, let's try just the Switch itself. And Switch 2 itself. Okay, so I have in my cart, I've got the Mario Kart bundle in my Target cart. Alright, I just need to dump the system on its own. Alright, it's slowing down a little bit because... Probably because there's a lot of traffic. So far, Target has proven to be my best bet. Alright. Wait, so it's... Wait, is it charging me for shipping? Even though I'm above a... You know what? I don't care. It's like $10 more than... Okay, well, I wait for the Target. Maybe I need to follow the email link from... Okay, I'm following the Walmart link from the URL from the email. Oh, it's making me sign into my account. Oh, wait, I see what it's doing. Yeah, sorry, I'm not showing any of this because I have to put in information. But let's just say the estimated tax is being corrected. Alright, I'm still in line at Walmart. Okay, I do not dare refresh the Target page. Oh, would you look at that? Best Buy is selling bundles of other items to ward off the scalpers. They are not playing around. You know what have I got to lose by hitting refresh on the Target? Yeah, for a little context, I have 4 different tabs open. Each one for a different retailer. So far, Target's my best bet, and then Walmart is holding a spot for me. I am literally in a virtual line right now. Yeah, I don't want to leave the stream until I've secured one. Yeah, so far I have a Mario Kart bundle in the Target cart. GameStop hasn't given me a chance to add. Oh, I need to sign in to GameStop. That's what I did wrong there. Okay, I really hope I didn't miss a chance to get my pre-order in. Nope, I am still says coming soon. Wow, I think Target's servers are pretty much crashing right now. Yeah, it's like the Hunger Games cornucopia, except instead of raging chaos, it's just really sluggish responses from crashing servers. Okay, I think hitting refresh on the target cart just made it worse. I don't dare hit refresh on the Walmart site just for the sake of... Alright, let's try Apple Pay through the Target site. Nope, it's still misbehaving. Okay, I think I'm about to get a pre-order in from Target. Oh, it's not letting me use Apple Pay. I don't have time for this. Alright, I am going to play some gameplay footage for you while I take care of this. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna sign off on here. I'll post if I manage to get it or not. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.